Welcome to the Mindset Mile podcast, the show that'll leave you empowered to take action towards becoming the turned up version of your already awesome self. I'm your host, Aisha Zaza, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Hello, fam. Welcome back to the Mindset Mile podcast. This episode is brought to you by our friends and sponsor at Upspace Fitness. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I've got a really great topic for you today, and I hope that this serves you big because this is something that everyone goes through and is completely normal. And I want to help you reframe how you think about plateaus. So have you ever gotten started on something with a lot of enthusiasm and you gained a bunch of momentum in the beginning where you're thinking like, wow, this is great. I could keep this up forever. But then something happens along the lines of life gets busy, or you just fall out of your daily routine a couple days in a row, and all of a sudden you start losing traction. I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast are in the network marketing industry, but this really does apply to any type of business model where you become obsessed with the idea and potential of what you're building. And because of that, your belief is through the roof. You feel invincible and ready to take your business to the top. They say that belief has a sound. And I know that this is true because have you ever heard someone talk about something they believe in so much you can't help but be drawn to their conviction? You don't even necessarily need to be interested for yourself in what they're doing or what they're offering, but their belief in themselves and what they are doing is infectious. So let's say you've gotten going. People are joining your team. Your volume is on an upward growing trajectory every month. And all of a sudden it starts to stabilize and you're not seeing the growth you did when you first got started. The same can be true for someone who starts to lose weight or is getting into shape. The bell curve starts steep, and the first part of the weight can come off fast for someone who makes the commitment to go all in on a lifestyle change and starts incorporating exercise and better food choices. But then their body reaches a plateau, and suddenly the same work and the same effort is not producing the results at the same speed as it once did. We call these stalls in progress plateaus, and I want to share a couple of thoughts on them. For one, plateaus are completely normal. They're normal in business, normal in weight loss, in athletic training, in life. And what happens when most people reach a plateau is they get frustrated and discouraged. And this is what I want to help change your mindset about. For one, you're never going to operate at 100% of the time. I don't care who you are or what it is you're doing. There are going to be periods of time where your progress stalls, but that's nothing to worry about if you stay consistent in what you're doing. This is where a lot of people go wrong. They get discouraged or frustrated when they start to stall out, and then they stop giving their business or whatever journey they're on the same amount of effort, which in turn is going to produce less and less results, which in turn assures the result that you're worried about when you reach a plateau, which is that what you're doing is no longer working. This is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't expect to do less work and for your results to stay the same. So this is where your belief in what you're doing comes into play. Your belief needs to remain the same through a plateau, because a plateau doesn't stay the same forever. Your results will either grow again, or if you stop putting in effort or belief, they're going to shrink. But what's exciting about working through a plateau is that the work you put in is a recipe for another explosion. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I know firsthand that when you feel empowered and mentally equipped, you're more prepared to take on everything life throws at you. But sometimes life gets you bogged down or overwhelmed and you're not able to show up in the way you want to. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you. Therapy isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. It's helpful to learn positive coping skills and set boundaries. If you've been thinking about giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/mindsetmile today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/mindsetmile. Think about it like this analogy. Let's say you're heating popcorn over a fire in a kettle, right? And you're shaking, and you have a bunch of these popcorn kernels that you know are going to pop if they remain on the heat for long enough, right? So you're shaking it, and nothing's happening. Your arm's getting kind of tired and you're like, okay, I want this popcorn, but this is taking forever. What is going on? If you remove the kettle from the fire too soon, what's going to happen? You are ensuring that there's not going to be popcorn. But what happens is if you keep shuffling the pot over the fire again and again and again, what eventually starts to happen is pop. One popcorn will go off. And then what happens? Another few seconds later, pop, pop, another few kernels start to explode. And then if you've ever heard popcorn in a microwave or over a fire, you know what happens next is that they start going off like fireworks. The results start to compound. When you stay through a plateau or when the results are not showing up, the results start to compound and things start happening quickly. So the moral of the story here is reframe how you look at a plateau from something to get frustrated about, and know that the work that you're putting in when you're not seeing the results to match it is like the calm before the next storm. Remember, plateaus don't last forever, and you're in control of which direction you will be moving when you're out of it. Take this as an opportunity to practice your patience and your consistency. Okay, so let's say you are in a self-perpetuated plateau and you know you've stalled out because you haven't upped the ante, but can't seem to motivate yourself enough to get out, right? You might be waiting a while if you're leaving this up to motivation. You can't wait to feel motivated to get out of a plateau if you know that this is something that you just need to get back to work about. As we know, motivation is not reliable. So this is the time you're going to need to practice discipline. Start small and do a few things every day that start working towards the direction you want to be moving in. Whether that's doing 2 business reach outs a day, reading 10 pages of your book, walking 1 mile. Start small and start building back some consistency. Consistency inspires motivation, and small good habits beget other good habits. It'll be the kickstart you need to get out of a plateau and move you into what you need to do to grow again. I know it doesn't sound like much, or maybe even enough to get the ball rolling again, but I really believe that we underestimate the power of small, consistent action over time. If you're in a plateau or the next time you find yourself in one, I hope you can reframe how you feel about it and remember to not wait to feel motivated to get out of it, and use what you've learned through this podcast about building good habits by taking small, consistent action to get yourself out of it. If this episode helped you, or you discovered something new, or you had an aha moment during it, please share it on social media and tag me at Aisha Zaza, and or send it to a friend who could also use this message. Have an amazing week, and I cannot wait to see you next Monday. Until then, make it a great day.